Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a pretty sick movie. I would argue that it's probably one of the best animated movies to come out in the last couple of years. It's pretty epic. Now, due to this movie being such a big hit, a lot of people are saying that Dreamworks is now in a good position. And now they're probably the #1 animation house right now.
I want you to suck it.
You suck it!
No, it's for you to suck.
Ugh, I'm not sucking that.
Suck it.
I don't know where it's been.
It's not where it's been. It's where it will take you.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Chief. In 2016, due to financial issues, Dreamworks Animation was sold to Universal Pictures. The other animation studio that they own is Illumination Entertainment, an animation studio that I don't particularly like. Regardless of how I feel about it, it is extremely successful. My hopes for this studio after its purchase were not very high. But who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Universal buying Dreamworks ended up making the studio even stronger than before. The only way to really find out is to go through each of their movies after they bought Dreamworks and determine if they really are improving. First we got How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, the final How to Train Your Dragon movie. Oh.
What is that? What the fuck?
This movie is pretty good. I think it's a good conclusion to the series. I think the animation is particularly spectacular, and I think the characters end up in a pretty good place in comparison to the entire trilogy. It isn't the most cohesive thing in the world, but ultimately How to Train Your Dragon 3 is a really solid movie. To be fair though, this was probably under deep production before Universal bought it, so we'll take this success with a grain of salt. And it was a big hit. Everybody was happy. Then we had Abominable. The movie in itself is just okay. It's a typical adventure movie where a small child meets a mythical creature and they must find a way to get the creature home. It's a very generic story. However, what makes it somewhat stand apart is the Chinese setting, which is pretty good that some artists were able to take inspiration from the country and implement it into a movie that had 4-quadrant appeal. It's pretty cool. But I can legitimately not tell you a single character's name or a personality trait besides the main character being hardworking, and that's about it. The movie's not horrible or anything. If I was to show this to a small child, I wouldn't be infuriated, but at the same time, you could just show them a lot more that's interesting. The movie ended up just doing okay, and nobody really talks about it anymore. There was technically a Hulu TV series made out of the film later on, but nobody cared about that show, so who really cares? The next movie they released was Trolls World Tour, a sequel that I had no interest in watching, but watched for this video, and it's not good. It's annoying and pandering, but I think a small child would be entertained, so I can't say much about it. Due to being released in the year of 2020, no, I'm not gonna say the word, the movie ended up being released on PVOD, but judging from the fact that we're still getting Trolls 3 tells me that the movie was a major success and they're still going along with it.
Which makes me so high.
Next we got The Croods 2, which was released for that Thanksgiving, a movie that is surprisingly better than it had any right to be, seeing how it's a 6-year-old sequel to The Croods, a unmemorable film from 2013 that managed to be a big hit for some reason.
Yeah, wow, I was up all night because like all these ideas just kept coming to me.
Oh god damn it.
Scraping at the door! Scraping at the door!
The movie takes the whole idea of the Croods and just completely runs with the absurdity of the concept, and you know what, I can definitely respect that because I'm not caring for these characters at all. The animation is probably worse than the original. The first one uses motion capture and designs are pretty distinct. Since this movie is a lot cheaper, they went for the cartoony approach, which does work for the overall style that this movie is going for. The film came out and had really good audience scores, but critics were mixed, as you would expect for a Croods movie.
I call it a rug, rhymes with grug. And this one, I call it a ride, rhymes with grug.
It's pretty funny.
But saying how this was a major sleeper hit during 2020, don't be surprised that we see The Croods 3 sometime in the next 20 years. Just don't be surprised. Next we had Spirit Untamed. It's a piece of shit. Moving on. Next is The Boss Baby 2, Family Business.
Suck it, Ted. I beg your pardon.
The sequel to the acclaimed Oscar-nominated film, The Boss Baby.
I'm on a mission from above.
Are you the baby Jesus?
Yes, I'm the baby Jesus.
This movie is just more of the same when it comes to the boss baby style. I can't believe I said that sentence. The fun, fluid animation is cool, and I think the story humor can appeal to some people, but ultimately it's just cringe.
I'm in the family business, and now you work for me, boomers!
It's all just hyperactive and annoying. I can't stand it for more than 20 minutes, and watching the entire movie was torture. However, in a surprise to me, it actually lost money at the box office. But the thing is that this movie did lose a lot of money on the table due to Peacock, surprisingly enough. It might have did well enough on Peacock after all, because we're getting the Boss Baby 3, maybe, probably not. So yeah, these movies aren't good. I can't wait for more garbage. However, for some reason, 2022 was actually a really great year for Dreamworks. Not just for Puss in Boots, but for the bad guys. This one has a completely different style, theme, and animation than any movie we talked about so far. The stylistic approach they attempted here was a crime comedy movie, which is kind of an interesting sell for a kids movie nowadays. It's much better than random colors and nonsense, not gonna lie. The animation for this movie is inspired by Spider-Verse and Mitchell's vs. the Machines. Not to say that the other animated movies that Dreamworks was putting out at the time had bad animation. I just think what they managed to pull off in terms of movement and stylization is really impressive here. The movie in and of itself is fine. I think that the story is very generic, but again, that stylistic flair of it being a crime movie saves it a little bit. You can pretty much predict all the plot points that are about to happen, but the animation and action scenes really just caught and pull it up for me. I don't mind the wolf, the fox, and the snake, but all the other characters are really annoying. I don't care.
I fight when I'm nervous.
Yeah, nervous about lying!
Sorry.
But ultimately, the movie was a massive hit, and it will become DreamWorks' newest franchise, which is cool. I think there's room for improvement, and I think it can get there with a little bit of tinkering. But of course, Puss in Boots is legitimately a fantastic movie. It is not just good for a kids movie, it is not just good for a DreamWorks film, it's just straight up a great movie. But I would like to pose a question. Why did this movie get so much more attention than all the rest of the DreamWorks movies in this era? Why are people so happy to see this movie come out and succeed? Well, I think there are a couple very strong reasons for that. For one, this movie is actually a lot more adult than a lot of the other movies on this list. It tells a story about compelling themes. The overall tone, approach, and comedy of the movie make it much more pitched for teenagers and adults than actual kids, which is in line with the original Shrek movies. Well, the first two at least.
Donkey, wake up!
I think it's possible that in the future we could be getting a lot more animated movies directed more towards adults, not just in the it's time for the pee-pee and poo-poo humor. Oh my god, it's the adult movie about the sausage that does the thing. Illumination just created a new team that's in charge of making adult animated films. Sony Pictures Animation is making adult animated films now. I'm not saying the DreamWorks needs to make movies that are hard R or even PG-13, but scaling their themes and making these movies a bit more appealing to people of all ages can help them stand out. That's why they succeeded so much in the beginning. Who knows what DreamWorks Animation truly has in store for us for the future. Not to mention Trolls 3, baby, band together. I'm so excited.
No.
Yes!
No.
Why not? Why won't you sing?
Because singing killed my grandma, okay?